blockbusters have sure come a long way, haven't they? With the advancements in visual effects, it seems like almost anything can be accomplished on the big screen now. Sure, CGI is still arguably overused these days and can look pretty cartoony when the studios rush the post-production process. But when there's care and thought put behind how they're implemented, they can look downright spectacular and stunning. However, the aspect of modern visual effects advancement that I want to focus on is how they have been slowly combined with performance art and how they can enhance an actor's performance and their characters. This use has become more and more common today, and its trend is especially highlighted with the recent release of Captain Marvel, which broke new grounds in visual effects achievement. In this video, I'm going to talk about some examples of the best and worst implementations of visual effects technology, and how it might impact not only the future of the film industry, but also animation in general, as well as performance art to a degree. One of the most prominent uses of this is motion capture. Thanks to films like Lord of the Rings and Avatar, it's become quite common to use an actor's performance to bring a CGI character to life, where the actor's performance and movements are being used as a reference to guide the animators, and sometimes an actor's movements will even be almost completely translated into the CGI character model. I mean, Lord knows, but Andy Serkis has practically made a career out of it by this point. This process varies, but it's generally done by having an actor wear mocap suits. In more extensive cases, a camera will be strapped to an actor's head to record their faces along with tracking dots. Of course, one of the most recent examples of this is Thanos, played by Josh Brolin, which was arguably Marvel's most human and compelling on-screen villain to date, despite actually being a big purple alien, and even if the behind-the-scenes footage is actually kind of comical to look at. I mean, seriously, imagine being Robert Downey Jr. and pretending to go up against that. This process has also been used in video games such as The Last of Us by Naughty Dog, one of the most cinematic games in the last decade. The second is wardrobe enhancements. This is often done to enhance an actor's costume or prosthetics. This is very prominent in big action movies such as superhero films. A good example of this would be with Two-Face in The Dark Knight, and even simpler touches like Superman's cape in Batman v Superman, along with possibly Ben Affleck's ab muscles, because I'm not positive that those look real. Although there actually is a practical reason why Superman's cape was done through visual effects in post-production, because an actual cape has proven that it can move pretty unpredictably on set.
No capes!
And of course, it's also been recently used to digitally remove Henry Cavill's facial hair. Yeah, we all know how that turned out. Another prominent use is the CGI double, which combines some of the previously mentioned techniques. This is mainly to double actors for shots where they have to replace them, either because they couldn't use the real actors on set, or if they needed more than one of the same actor in the same frame. This usually involves either using a complete CGI model or inserting an actor's face onto a body or stunt double. The latter technique was used to fill in for Paul Walker after his passing, by digitally inserting his face onto his brother, who served as Paul's body double. The process for this technique is done by scanning the actors' faces and observing how light moves across their faces to inform the lighting and shading effects. Again, we see this a lot in superhero films when characters are performing superhuman feats, or in movies that feature multiple versions of the same character. I think one of the best uses of this has been in the film Logan. In this film, it's mainly used to cover Hugh Jackman's stunt doubles and for shots where both the faces of Logan and his clone are visible. I can easily see these techniques being used more often in the future, especially for action movies where they often have to shoot around their actor stunt doubles, which can look pretty obvious when it's not done well. Like this shot from Face Off, where you can obviously see that it's not Nicolas Cage or John Travolta, and a film like this could have really used this technology back in the day. I think this use of visual effects will certainly have an even bigger place in action filmmaking, and it's a development that I fully support. However, I would have to say that one of the strangest uses of all these aforementioned techniques is Thor Ragnarok. This film is just littered with bizarre and random uses of visual effects that didn't need to be there. I mean, look at this shot. What was the point of creating a CGI version of Odin's eye patch? Did Anthony Hopkins just refuse to wear one of these on set, so he had to do it in post? Even the grass was fake too. I'm not even kidding. They removed all the grass in post-production and replaced it with grass that's actually even more boring to look at. Why? I don't know, I guess Disney just had extra money to waste. And oh yeah, remember this iconic shot of Thor looking like a badass? Well, that was all CGI too. But they couldn't get Chris Hemsworth to just show up on set, so they had to use the CGI version of him? I mean, all you have to do is just stand there and look menacing. That's like a superhero actor's main job. Seriously, why are we even paying this doofus? Well, it looked fine in the final cut, so I guess it's not that big of a deal, but This is generally what people are talking about when they say that CGI is overused these days. Finally, and I'm sure that this is the part that you've all been waiting for, which is a trend that more and more studios are using visual effects to alter an actor's age. This is primarily done to make an actor look younger and to make your actor look like a potato? I don't know, I guess you might need that. Anyhow, this technique had a pretty rocky history until recently. One of the companies that constantly pushed this technology was Disney, who broke new grounds with their film Tron Legacy, which featured a digitally de-aged Jeff Bridges as one of the main characters. While it may have looked impressive back in the day, I kinda think this face fits in a little too well with Horizon Zero Dawn for the PS4. Since then, we've had numerous attempts to convincingly de-age actors with some fairly mixed results. However, the first film that was able to pull this off in my opinion was Ant-Man and the Wasp, which featured a pretty solid de-aged Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas. Disney pushed this even further to the next step with Captain Marvel, which features a young Nick Fury in a prominent role, and this is the best that has ever looked. This film honestly makes you forget that Samuel L. Jackson is actually 70 years old. Overall, I think we're still seeing the beginning of these visual effects and performance capture techniques being used on a wider basis, and I absolutely believe that this will have an impact on our industry and culture. Does this mean that one day visual effects will have come so far and be so easy that we don't even have to use real-life actors in films anymore? Or even shoot anything in live action? Maybe, but I don't think that this is going to happen anytime soon because visual effects are still incredibly expensive to produce. Perhaps I just don't want to think of an age where our world has become so digitized that we don't even need actors anymore. But whether we like it or not, I think the blending of visual effects and performance art is at least only going to become more and more seamless. This is not only applicable to live action films, but 3D animation and video games in general. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I hope you found it informative. This is Thomas Jang, signing off.